Good morning. My name is Linda Zetterberg, and I serve as the controller on your DuPage UU Church Board of Trustees. We want to welcome everyone this morning to our open and inclusive virtual community. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning and pledge to support one another as we explore these paths. We are so glad that you found us here and join us for our live stream service today. Please check the church website at www.dupageuchurch.org for updates. If you search under DuPage UU Church on Facebook, you will find a number of ways to be in community with us as well. This Sunday, join us at our Zoom coffee hour. Zoom gives us a way to create small groups at random. This way, you might be grouped with someone you haven't met yet and get to make a new friend. The number of four-person groups depends on how many people attend. We hope to see you there. The Zoom link can be found on the Members tab of our website and in the weekly church email.
Good morning. Our opening words today are taken from the Book of Awakening, Having the Life You Want by Being Present to the Life You Have by Mark Nepo. We waste so much energy trying to cover up who we are when beneath every attitude is the want to be loved. And beneath every anger is a wound to be healed. And beneath every sadness is the fear that there will not be enough time. When we hesitate in being direct, we unknowingly slip something on, some added layer of protection that keeps us from feeling the world. And often that thin covering is the beginning of a loneliness which, if not put down, diminishes our chances of joy. It's like wearing gloves every time we touch something, and then forgetting we choose to put them on. We complain that nothing feels quite right. Our challenge each day is not to get dressed to face the world, but to unglove ourselves so that the doorknob feels cold and the car handle feels wet and the kiss goodbye feels like the lips of another being, soft and unrepeatable.
We light this chalice for love. Love is now and forever. Love is the answer to everything and everyone and every moment.
Thank you, Ben. I invite you to join me now in our spoken and sung affirmations. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
It is time to gather. Our theme this month is healing, and today I have a book about comfort food. We call it comfort food because when we are sick or sad or lonely, they are the foods which give us healing. It comforts us. When we are sick or sad or lonely, we might not feel in the mood for eating daring, experimental foods. We want to return to foods we know and love. Whenever we need to heal, we want to return to people, places, food, and other things that we know and love. So today's book is Chicken Soup with Rice by Maurice Sendak. In January, it's so nice, while slipping on the ice, to sip hot chicken soup with rice, sipping once, sipping twice, sipping chicken soup with rice. In February, it will be my snowman's anniversary, with cake for him and soup for me. Happy once, happy twice, happy chicken soup with rice. In March, the wind blows down the door and spills my soup upon the floor. It laps it up and roars for more, blowing once, blowing twice, blowing chicken soup with rice. In January, I will go away to far-off Spain or old Bombay and dream about hot soup all day. Oh my once, oh my twice, oh my chicken soup with rice. In May, I truly think it best to be a robin lightly dressed, concocting soup inside my nest. Mix it once, mix it twice, mix that chicken soup with rice. In June, I saw a charming group of roses all begin to droop. I pepped them up with chicken soup. Sprinkle once, sprinkle twice, sprinkle chicken soup with rice. In July, I'll take a peep into the cool and fishy deep, where chicken soup is selling cheap. Selling once, selling twice, selling chicken soup with rice. In August, it will be so hot, I will be becoming a cooking pot. Cooking soup, of course, why not? Cooking once, cooking twice, cooking chicken soup with rice. In September, for a while, I will ride a crocodile. down the chicken soupy Nile. Paddle once, paddle twice, paddle chicken soup with rice. In October, I'll be host to witches, goblins, and a ghost. I'll serve them chicken soup on toast. Whoopee once, whoopee twice, whoopee chicken soup with rice. In November's gusty gale, I will flop my flippy tail and spout hot soup. I'll be a whale, spoutin' once, spoutin' twice, spoutin' chicken soup with rice. In December, I will be a bobbled, bangled Christmas tree with soup bowls draped all over me. Merry once, merry twice, merry chicken soup with rice. Now I told you once, and I told you twice, all seasons of the year are nice for eating chicken soup. Eating chicken soup with rice.
Ours is a community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Let us connect deeply with one another through the invisible threads that run from heart to heart, always there, even when we are physically apart. Let us take this moment of silence to reflect upon our joys and sorrows as we send blessings and comfort to one another. Blessed be. Please join us for hymn number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Today, we are continuing on our November theme of healing. And I've been thinking a lot about healing. It's hard not to these days. We are battling COVID illness, and death, injustices, economic worries, political strife, losses of all kinds. I don't know about you, but I walk around with a heaviness in my chest and angst in my body. I just don't feel settled. It's like riding a roller coaster. Some days I'm hopeful and excited, and some days I'm anxious and afraid. And I know it's not just me, because I've spoken with many of you and to my clients and family and friends, so I know you're feeling it too. David Kessler, who wrote The Sixth Stage of Grief, suggested we are all collectively grieving, mourning the loss of the world we once knew, and our sense of normalcy, our sense of connection, our sense of safety. We don't know what the future holds. It feels like we have fallen apart. And we are grieving in the ways that humans grieve. Some of us are holding the sadness and despair. Some of us are in denial about what is happening. Some of us are controlling what we think we can control. Some of us are bargaining. Some of us are raging, looking for who and what to blame. I wish I had the soothing balm, the big vat of chicken soup that can make it all better. Sometimes I feel like I should have better answers and more comfort to offer. After all, I do this for a living. I will have been a psychotherapist for 30 years next year. I have had the privilege of sitting with individuals and families during some of the darkest, most painful moments in their lives. And it's interesting because I have sat in this collective COVID timeout that we are all in, reacting to the chaos and the discomfort in the world. And I find myself reflecting, perhaps looking for my own comfort, on the many individuals and families I have worked with. And I've thought about their healing journeys, their times of darkness, what they have looked like, and what they have taught me, and what of their wisdom might be helpful to share as we individually and collectively look for healing. I have always been fascinated by what it takes for us to stay present and awake in the difficult times of our lives. I'm amazed at what we must bear sometimes. I have sat with clients who have been sick and dying, who've lost a child, who've been captured by the darkness of depression or addictions, who've been abused or abandoned or traumatized. I have heard stories that are so painful and so frightening that all I can do is breathe and hold the space and bear witness. And while I have learned skills and strategies to be helpful, I have come to realize that this journey is part of our human experience. We all face times of challenge. We all will be broken down and defeated. And ultimately, we all will have to decide whether we will engage with the forces of our own suffering in search of healing, or whether we will crumble in defeat. I have witnessed both. But today, I'd like to talk about what I have learned from those people who have taken the challenge, fallen and broken apart, and how they've found their way back to a new wholeness. When I met Marge, she was a 35-year-old woman with stage 4 breast cancer. She described the day the world turned upside down for her. She said, "I remember walking into the doctor's office not feeling terribly worried. I'd had a routine mammogram, followed by a biopsy to check on something suspicious, but I really wasn't worried. I had had biopsies before. They had never mounted to anything. But this day, when I walked out of the office, diagnosis in hand, the world as I had known it had disappeared in a split second. And I suddenly felt like I had to navigate in a world I had never seen before. Her journey through her recovery and healing was rigorous and challenging. She was sick. She lost her breasts and all of her hair. She was so weak and debilitated that she could no longer work, and she faced a life that would require ongoing chemotherapy to keep her alive. She fell into a very deep depression, and she stayed in that place for a very long time. Marge says that one day there was something inside of her that just said, I need to pick myself up and get moving. I'm not ready to die, so I need to figure out how to live. And that began a journey of letting go of all that had been in her life. The life that she knew and all the thoughts about the life she had expected to live. She leaned in. She grieved and she raged and she fell apart multiple times, and she just kept going. She just kept leaning into the pain. And over time, she began to feel strong and powerful and whole. Her life began to take on meaning in a way it hadn't before, and she began to find her way back to a new kind of wholeness. During times of crisis and difficulty, there is always a doorway that marks what was and what will be. We can stand upon the threshold for a very long time, not wanting to let go of our life as we knew it, and afraid to step into the unknown of what will come. It takes a lot of bravery to go there. Of course, sometimes we can be pushed through the doorway without any time to catch our breath or our bearings. That's what happened with Marge. And then we are forced to contend with finding our way. That doorway marks a passageway into healing. It requires a falling apart, a letting go of all the things that will no longer work. And it requires a willingness to step through the doorway into the unknown. When we are brave and stay present on this journey, we find new ways of being, clarity and wisdom about what really matters. That's what happened with Marge. I have learned powerful lessons about healing from children. When I met Jeremy, he was a 5-year-old boy who had been removed from his mother's home after enduring horrific physical and emotional abuse. His mother was addicted to drugs and unable to care for him. Jeremy was in a group home and he had not spoken for 6 months. When I arrived for our first appointment, he was sitting out on the sidewalk playing with some sticks, and his house parent was irate, yelling for him to come in for his appointment, but Jeremy seemed oblivious to her. So I went and sat out on the sidewalk with him. Well, it turned out that Jeremy wasn't obliviously playing with sticks. He was building what looked like a miniature bridge across the sidewalk. I watched for a while, and finally I asked him, "What are you building?" And he didn't speak for a very long time. Finally, he said, "I'm building a bridge so the ants can get across. More time went by, and then he added, I don't want them to get stepped on. And I said, that's very kind of you. And Jeremy looked up at me and shared, I used to get stepped on, and it hurt. I knew he was telling me a truth about the life that he had come from, that it wasn't a story, that he knew what it felt like to be stepped on. Jeremy never spoke another word to me in the few months that we worked together. But this sweet, wounded boy taught me a very powerful lesson about healing. He had taken his pain, his trauma, and transformed it into compassion and love for these small creatures. And I have seen over and over again how pain breaks us open. And in that process, how we're able to access compassion for others that might not have been there otherwise. 16-year-old Monica had made multiple suicide attempts. She was depressed and despondent. And when I met her and her family, they were depleted and exhausted and desperately in need of healing. They had all been through multiple psychiatric hospitalizations with Monica, hundreds of therapy sessions, and multiple trials of medications. Nothing helped. I met them in the community mental health program I worked at the time. We offered services to a family in crisis in their home. Monica got better over time, and the family got stronger. And when I followed up at 6 months and then again at 12 months post-care, I was curious about what interventions and what strategies had helped, because nothing had helped prior. But what they reported back was nothing about strategy or intervention. They started to get better, they said, because you were hopeful for us. Because you said you would stay until we felt strong. Because you liked us. When we are depleted and hopeless, I have learned that healing often requires someone to hold the hope until we can get there ourselves. Healing takes bravery to lean into the pain, to cross the threshold into the unknown, and to be willing to recreate our life. Healing creates a willingness to take our brokenness and transform our brokenness into love and compassion. Healing creates vulnerability and willingness to be held when we are exhausted in hope until we are strong again. Let us take a moment now in our beloved community of healing and hope and take an offering on behalf of this community.
Thank you, Vera. Why Lying Broken in a Pile on Your Bedroom Floor is a Good Idea by Julie Peters. You know that feeling when you have just gone through something terrible, like a scary diagnosis, or a death of a loved one, or you lost your job? You know that feeling when depression or anxiety grabs hold and takes you down, and everything is terrible and terrifying, and you don't know what to do, and you find yourself crying in a pile on your bedroom floor, barely able to remember how to use the phone, desperately looking for some sign of God in old letters, or your Facebook news feed, or your favorite show, finding nothing there to comfort you? Come on, yes you do. We all do. And there is a goddess from Hindu mythology that teaches us that in this moment, in this pile on the floor, you are more powerful than you have ever been. Her name is Akhilandeshwari, and she is the goddess of never not broken. This figure has snuck up inside me and settled into my bones. She keeps coming out of my mouth every time I teach, and she's given me so much strength and possibility during a time of change and uncertainty in my own life. I wanted to unpack a little bit about who she is for those who might be, like me, struggling a little bit in that pile on the floor and wondering how the hell to get up again. The answer, it turns out, is this: in pieces, warrior style, on the back of a crocodile. Yeehaw! Ishvari in Sanskrit means goddess or female power, and the Akhilanda means, essentially, never not broken. In other words, the always broken goddess. But Akhilanda doesn't represent the kind of broken that indicates weakness and terror. It's the kind of broken that tears apart all the old stuff, all the old ways of being and knowing. Akhilanda derives her power from being broken, in flux, pulling herself apart, living in different constant selves at the same time, from never becoming a whole that has limitations. The thing about going through sudden or scary or sad transitions is that one of the things you lose is your future, your expectations of what the story of your life so far was going to become. When you lose that partner or your health or your job or that person, your future dissolves in front of you. And of course, this is terrifying. But look, Akhilanda says, now you get to make a choice. In pieces, in a pile on the floor with no idea how to go forward, your expectations of the future are meaningless. Your stories about the past do not apply. You are in flux. You are changing. You are flowing in a new way, and this is an incredibly powerful opportunity to become new again, to choose how you want to put yourself back together. Confusion and chaos can be an incredible teacher. How could you ever learn if you already had it all figured out? This goddess has another interesting attribute, which, of course, is her ride. She rides a crocodile. Crocodiles are interesting in two ways. Firstly, the crocodile represents our reptilian brain, which is where we feel fear. Secondly, the predatory power of a crocodile is not located in their huge jaws, but rather in that they pluck their prey from the banks of the river, take it into the water, and spin it until it is disoriented. They whirl that prey like a dervish seeking God. They use the power of spin, rather than brute force, to feed themselves. Akhilanda is also sometimes described like a spinning, multifaceted prism. Imagine the hope diamond twirling in a bright, clear light. The light pouring through the beveled cuts of the diamond would create a whirling rainbow of color. The diamond is whole and complete, and because it's fractured, it creates more diverse beauty. Its form is a spectrum of whirling color. By riding on this spinning, predatory, fearsome creature, Aquilanda refuses to reject her fear, nor does she let it control her. She rides it. She gets on this animal that lives inside the river, inside the flow. She takes her fear down to the river and uses its power to navigate the waves and spins in the never not broken water. Aquilanda shows us that this is beautiful. So now is the time, this time of confusion and brokenness and fear and sadness, to get up on that fear, ride it down the river, dip into the waves, and let yourself fracture into pieces. All the places where you've shattered can now reflect light and color where there was none. Now is the time to become something new, to choose a new whole. But remember Aquilanda's lesson. Even that new whole, that new, colorful, amazing groove that we create is an illusion. It means nothing unless we can keep on breaking apart and putting ourselves together again as many times as we need to. We are already never not broken. We were never a consistent, limited whole. In our brokenness, we are unlimited. And that means we are amazing.
I love the teachings of Aquilanda. She sits in my office with me, and I reference her frequently. I love her willingness to show up as her shattered self, fierce and determined and beautiful, willing to take the wild ride to heal and find wholeness over and over again. There really isn't another way. We all know people who have said that when a terrible thing arrived in their life, an illness, a death, a divorce, a bankruptcy, that it often is the greatest time of growth and wisdom, a gift. Perhaps you have had that experience as well. It's ironic, really. None of us gets to leave this life without having to heal from something. That terrible thing that shatters our mind, our body, or our spirit, that breaks us down, that humbles us, and leaves us in a pile on the bedroom floor, is also the very thing that provides us with the pathway to know ourselves more deeply, more authentically, and more honestly, to know who we truly are. It is not easy to choose the wild ride of the crocodile into the depths of the raging river, to ride the fear, to be spun and disoriented, and to wonder if we'll survive. It requires tremendous bravery. And the only way to do it is to let go and let the river take us as we hold on, hoping we emerge to see another day. We can't always appreciate our beauty at that moment. And that is the other irony. Sometimes it is in our broken, shattered, vulnerable state, when we are broken into a million pieces, when we are the most beautiful to one another. I had a mentor who once told me that we fool ourselves as therapists when we believe we are the healers and that our clients are the ones who need to be healed. She said, there will be a moment when you are sitting with another and you're in their pain, and your own heart will crack wide open. Words will leave you, and you'll move into the space between the two of you, where humanity and vulnerability and hope live. And all you will be able to feel is the raw beauty of the moment. And you will not know who is the healer and who is being healed. I have been blessed to have that experience many, many times. And I am so grateful for the many brave clients who have taken me on their journey, shown me the way to wholeness, and in their own healing, healed my own broken heart. We are in a constant state of brokenness and wholeness, falling apart and putting ourselves back together again. Sometimes we are the pile on the floor, and we are held by another who holds the hope and the beauty of our beautiful shattered selves. And they hold it for us until we can gather the strength to take the wild ride. And sometimes we are the holder, mesmerized by the beauty and the light that reflects through the shattered pieces of another. We bear witness to their journey until it is our turn to brave the wild river once again. It is all so terribly painful and poignant and beautiful. This human journey of falling apart and healing and becoming whole again. Perhaps we will have more conversations together about this wild ride, about the personal healing journeys we have all made, or the ways we have held one another as we break and re-become whole. I can't help but wonder, too, about the world around us right now as we collectively grieve. What journey are we on together? Our shared lives, broken into a million pieces, chaotic and scattered and beautiful, taking turns as we dive deeply into the churning waters, bravely and fiercely longing for wholeness. Please join me in singing our final hymn, Comfort Me, in the Teal hymnal.
Comfort me, oh my
Bless us in our brokenness. Bless this community, and let us remember that this is always the place we can fall apart over and over and over again. Bless our wholeness. Bless this journey. May you go in peace.
Thank you.